Hey everyone, Ace of Clay here and welcome to another video. If you are new here, I'm a sculptor and every week I make a new sculpture. In today's video, we're making a Christmas elf. So now that Thanksgiving's over, I figured it would be a good time to start the holiday sculptures. We're gonna kick it off with this little elf guy, and I wanted to incorporate this little strand of LED lights. Thought it would be a cool addition. I don't know, you be the judge of that once you see him complete. So without further ado, if you want to see me make this guy, then hit like, hit subscribe, and let's get started. Alright, first step, armature. I just trimmed some bamboo skewers to create the elf's legs. Now I'm wrapping some 12 gauge aluminum wire around them and then bending it upwards to create the shoulders and torso armature. Now I'm just adding another piece of wire across the shoulders to create his arms, and I am attaching that with some floral wire. And now it's time to start bulking out the torso. I'm using some aluminum foil, fitting that inside, and then I'm going to cover that in some Sculpey ultralight. Like the name suggests, ultralight is extremely light and it serves as a great base for super Sculpey that I will be adding later. And as always, all of the materials and tools that I use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you want to purchase anything. And once I have everything covered in ultralight that I want, it's time to bake this. Then once it's baked and completely cooled down, we got a nice surface to start adding clay. I will be using Super Sculpey Original. To get these nice, thin, even sheets, I just ran the clay through my pasta maker on the thickest setting. Now that the majority of his body is covered, it's time to start adding detail. We're going to give him some fancy shorts, I guess if you want to call them. They're going to be kind of like poofy looking, so I just added this little snake of clay like that, separating the rest of his leg from the end of his shorts. Now I'm going in with these little teardrop shapes that are going to create a nice little fabric texture. And I want him to be a fancy elf, so I'm going to really deck him out as much as possible. So we're starting with these fancy shorts. And once the first leg is looking pretty good, let's do the second one off camera. And then once that second leg is done, it's time to start his shoes. I'm just shaping this out in my fingertips and then giving him a nice curly point at the front. Then once the second one's done, I just added a little bit of bacon bond and I'm going to press his legs into each shoe. I do not recommend this method. I definitely recommend bulking the feet out with aluminum foil or putting some type of armature in the shoe. You can run into a ton of issues the way that I'm doing it, so just do as I say, not as I do. Always put armature in your feet. Alright, and then after adding the tops of the shoes and some seams, I'm just going to go in and add some little embroidery elements to the side of each shoe. Thought this was a nice touch. And then for a final step on his lower half, I'm just capping off the ends of his shorts with another little piece of clay. And then once that's done, we're going to brush the surface with clay softener to remove fingerprints, and he's ready for another bake. Then once he's baked and completely cooled down, he's looking pretty good. And then here are some LED battery lights I got for him. I'm going to make it look like he's trying to like put them up. So that's cool. Now we're just going to cover his arms in some clay. And then again, because this is a fancy elf, we're going to give him some poofy sleeves to match his shorts. This process is identical to what I did on his shorts, so I'm not going to leave like every piece of footage in. You get the point. Now let's repeat this process on the other arm. Now I'm just going to cap off the sleeves. And now I'm just adding some bacon bond to his stomach so that I can start his overalls. Just going to add another little sheet of clay like that on the front and the back. And then add his neck, of course, before we go any further. Then we're going to start using some snakes of clay for the folds and wrinkles. Now we're just going to give him a quick little collar, another snake of clay there. And we're going to add these straps for the overalls and crisscross them in the back, even though a coat will completely cover this. Then add some buttons, finish those off with my medium ball stylus, and then we're going to start that coat. I just cut these shapes out and I am adding them underneath his arms, like so. And then I'm going to sort of flay them outwards to create a collar and make it look like a fancy little jacket. Then to finish off the jacket, we're going to add a nice thin snake of clay to create some piping. Then we're going to give him a little button on his shirt. And then start the hands. Then once both hands are done, it's time to add them, but not before we trim the wire. And then attach them with a little bit of bacon bond, blend them into the wrists. And then we're going to finish them off and make it look like he's wearing gloves with another little piece of clay. And then we're going to add some embroidery details to the front of his overalls, just like on his shoes. Then once all the details are on, we're going to brush him with clay softener again to remove fingerprints and get him ready for another bake. And once he's baked and completely cooled down, we're going to set him aside and start his head. I'm just shaping out the core from aluminum foil and covering that in clay. And we got this nice little ball. After adding a skewer to hold on to, I am just shaping out his eye sockets with my ball stylus, deepening them with my medium ball stylus, and then adding some eyelids and eyes. Then I'm going to refine everything with my spoon tool and explorer tool. Now I'm going to use my medium ball stylus to press out his mouth and then shape it with my fingertip. And we're just going to bring out his cheeks a little bit with some more clay. And we're going to give him a little chin. Now for his nose, I want it to be really long and pointy and sort of point upwards. Now for some nostrils that I end up redoing because they're too big. Those are his new nostrils there. Not bad, looking pretty good. Now we're just going to give him some pointy elf ears using my normal ear method, just modifying it to be pointy instead of round. And just like that, his first ear is done. After completing the second one off camera, more clay softener to remove fingerprints, bake him again. Out of the oven, cooled down, looks good, time to add some hair. I just want to give him these nice little curly sideburns, like so, adding them to the sides of his head and then wrapping it around the back, and then I'm going to texture them with my explorer tool. Then after adding a little bit of Bacon Bond, we're going to go ahead and give him some nice fancy eyebrows. Then we're going to add some more Bacon Bond to the top of his head so that we can add a hat. I want this to be tall and curly. Then to finish off the hat, I'm just adding some piping to the bottom. Then we're going to remove fingerprints, bake him again, attach his head to the body, and then start painting. All of the paints that I use in this video are Folk Art brand matte acrylics. After getting the base coat down on his face and neck, I'm just adding a little bit of pink to make his cheeks and nose rosy. Now we're going to paint the whites of his eyes using titanium white. And we're going to paint his lash line brown and give him some irises. And then after darkening the beige color I used for his skin, I am just applying that to some recessed areas in his face. And now we're going in with some imperial red mixed with grass green to get this nice rich red tone. And then right before this shot, I dropped him pretty hard and cracked his right sleeve, so the sleeve that's on your left. And it's pretty annoying. I didn't have time to fix it, so I just ended up finishing the paint job. So just pretend that's not there. But I just wanted to address the elephant in the room if anybody noticed it. Now I'm just painting his shirt the color driftwood. And we're going to add some driftwood to his sleeves too. Then I'm adding some watered down dark green into all of the nooks and crannies on his jacket just to give it a little more dimension. And we're going to do the same thing to the red areas. Now we're just going to paint his hat, and looking back as I do these voiceovers, I'm using a lot of green. If I could go back, I would use some more red because he's kind of looking like a leprechaun. He's more leprechaun-y looking than elf looking in my opinion. Not sure why I didn't see this when I was painting him, but whatever, it is what it is. Anyway, my idea behind this guy was for him to be like the head elf, like Santa's right-hand man, which is why he's so fancy looking, and he kind of got stuck putting up the Christmas lights in the workshop. I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. Let me know what you think of that idea in the comments, but that's just kind of where my mind was going with this. Now we're just painting his hair, a nice auburn color. And we're finishing off the hat, painting his gloves white. And then we're going to color all of the embroidery this nice metallic bronze color. I thought this really brought it to life. And we can't forget his shoes. And we're going to dry brush some lighter red on his hair. And I also dry brushed some of that metallic bronze color on his clothes. And he's done! Our elf with his lights is complete. Let me know what you think of him in the comments. And then if you use any of the tips and techniques that I use in this video on your own projects, share them to Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter and tag me Ace of Clay or hashtag Ace of Clay so I can check them out. And that's a wrap. I really hope you like my little elf guy, despite the trials and tribulations that we went through while making him. I think he came out kind of neat. Let me know what you think of him in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and then follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Ace of Clay. Join my Facebook group, Aces of Clay, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.